Hey guys, it's Julie, and we're going to be working on this today, just the construction of the box only. The decoration will come on Thursday because it's going to take a while to decorate this box. Plus, you have to prepare your surface before you can decorate it. So with mine, I spray painted mine black. You can use acrylic paints, you can use paper on the whole thing, you can do whatever you want. I just thought for me, I thought spray painting was the easiest and quickest, and it took about, I would say it took 3 coats to cover everything and get a nice finish on it. So, and that's letting it dry completely in between each coat. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. This is pretty easy to put together. You know, it won't take too long. We should be able to get through it in about 20 minutes, I think. First things first is when I open my Capri Sun boxes, I just flip open one side and then I dump them all out. So I only have one side to seal, and I've already sealed this part here. And I just use hot glue, and I'm going to hot glue this down. I don't know if I can do it where you can see it or not, but I'm just going to put a bunch of hot glue on the flaps. And then I'm just going to hold it down. There goes my glue gun. And you'll be able to seal this a little bit better once we get it cut, because you'll be able to hold on to the pieces. So I'm just holding this down until it dries, just for a couple seconds. Okay, now you can see I've already drawn a line across here. I've just pre-measured, but I'll show you what you need to do. Sometimes Capri Sun boxes can be a little uneven, so you need to measure your box. Mine is 5 3/4 inches in the width part, and that brings me to something else. A few people had asked me what the measurements of this box are, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, just in case you're interested in finding a similar box or putting one together for yourself. This box is 5 3/4 inches in height. This is the height measurement here. It is 3 1/2 inches wide, and then it is, let's see here, it's just about 11 inches in the length. Okay, and I noticed that, did that stick? I think I need to put just a little bit more hot glue in here just to get a nice surface for when I cut. Okay, so anyway, we're going to be cutting this along the width-wise, okay, because we need these 2 big segments. On the last one, on the last storage that I did, I cut it in half this way, but this one is going to be cut this way. Okay, so you're going to draw your line. If your box is, like mine, 5 3/4 inches wide, you're going to draw your line at 2 7/8. So I've gone ahead and I've done that. I've drawn all around the box. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Please use, if you're going to use an X-Acto knife, make sure your blade is new and sharp, so you don't have to worry about anything. And then, just like I did in the last one, I'm just going to use the sawing motion. And I'm trying to be as accurate here as possible, but I'm never perfect. And you can always sand this down if you're interested in that perfect measurement. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut all around my line. Make sure that you draw your measurement around the entire box. Okay. And I will be editing this video, so there might be portions where you don't see this part, just to keep the video a good, decent length and not let it go too long. And as always, if you have any questions, or if you're confused about anything or don't understand something that I've done, just send me a message on YouTube. Okay, so now this one, since this came apart here, I need to, what I'm going to do, since I've already got a big glob of hot glue there, I'm just going to use my heat gun and I'm going to heat that up, and then I'm going to seal it again. Okay, and the reason I'm doing that is because it's just easier to just reheat that hot glue and then just hold it down and it'll reseal itself just like if it was fresh hot glue. Then you don't have to pick it off. Okay, so now we've got that one. Let me just make sure. This one's going to need just a little bit more hot glue in here, I think. I just like to make sure these are really sealed up good. We will be cutting some of this off, but not all of it. Okay, so now right here you have your two shelves basically, okay? They'll look like this, okay? One on top of the other. But we need to do something to them first. We need to cut them down a little bit. Okay, so how am I going to do this? Well, it's not too hard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure on the width side here, on the short side, I'm going to measure 1 inch from the top here, okay? And I'm just going to make a mark because that's going to be where I'm going to start my cut to make my angle cut that you've seen on the prototype that I did. Okay, so I've just made that one line right there, okay? And then I'm going to come down to the bottom, the solid portion on the bottom, okay? And I'm going to measure 1 inch up from that. I know that it's hard to do this where you can see it in the camera as well. Okay, and then I'm just going to make a mark there. And then I'm going to connect my two lines. Okay, so you're going to connect this line and this line. Now this is going to be off camera, so just so you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this line here with this line. It's almost like you're just, it's just like you're building something. Okay, so you can see that I've connected those two lines there. Now, we're going to take and we're going to draw a line from this side to this side from 1 inch from the bottom. So I'm just going to make another mark here so I know that I have a straight line. And the same thing here. Okay, and then I'm going to connect my lines so that I have a guide to cut from. Now, it's very important that you save this piece that we're going to be cutting off because this is going to become your support for your shelf or for your storage. Okay, so now I've drawn my line across here, and now we're going to go to this short side, the other short side, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our measurement from the 1 inch from the back side here, and then also we're just going to connect it, since we've already got this line here, we're going to connect it with that. So let me draw that measurement, and then we'll draw the line. Okay, and then we'll get busy cutting. Okay, so I've got my line drawn on both sides, from here all the way across, and then finally up this side as well. So let's go ahead and cut this out, and then we're going to do the same thing with the other piece. So I'm just going to, like I said, sawing motion here. Okay. And remember, we'll tighten all these up with a little bit more hot glue or your adhesive of choice when we get this all cut out. Now, this is where you need to be careful because the box is losing its stability right here, and you don't want to cut yourself. So be very careful when you're sawing and trying to get through all of those. I'm going to go off camera to do this so I can support it with my hand. You're kind of trying to saw through some of the hot glue that you had before. Okay, so now I've got that cut out there, and then I'll just come back and I'll trim that up with a pair of scissors. Okay, and then I'm just going to follow across this line here. And remember, just use the sawing motion. This is why it's important to have a new blade on your knife, because it'll make it a lot easier and a lot less dangerous when doing this. The sharper the knife, it's, the better to get a cleaner cut. If you have a dull knife, you have to press harder. It's just like when you're cooking and you're slicing vegetables. A dull knife, you have to press harder, and that's when accidents happen. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim down this side now, and you won't see me here because I'll be off camera. Okay, so now we have our first shelf. Remember, don't throw this piece away because we're going to need this for our supports. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten this up just a little bit here, and I'll show you what I mean by that, because we're going to put a little support on the inside so that it stays stiff. Okay, and I'm just going to hot glue this piece here, and then we're going to cut our other one, and then we'll come back and we'll do all of the tightening up. I just want to finish this piece here and get that really snug together. Okay, and then I'm going to take my Tim Holtz scissors, and I'm just going to trim this off here. Okay, make that even, trim this side as well. Okay, so now I have my first top shelf or bottom shelf, whichever you're going to use. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing with this one, okay? So again, you're going to make your measurements. We'll go 1 inch from this edge here. And then 1 inch from the bottom. Okay, and then we're going to connect those. Hard to do this on camera because my space isn't really too big. Okay, so I've got that connected, and then I'm going to make my mark here again, and I'm going to go across at my inch, make a mark, and then do the same thing over here, and then connect this line. I keep coming up with more and more things to do with these boxes. I've started making a list of what I can make out of these. This is just too much cardboard to throw away, and it's such a nice sturdy box. That's honestly, that's the whole reason why I really like working with this. Okay, again at the edge you're going to mark this at 1 inch, and then you're going to draw your diagonal line across. And I know that I had some comments from the introduction video that these boxes, you can't find these boxes overseas. Yeah, I don't know what to say, because I don't know what type of boxes you have there or what would be comparable to this, because honestly there isn't any other boxes really that are comparable to this in the US that things come in. It's kind of the shape of a shoebox, but the cardboard is a lot heavier. So I hope maybe with the measurements that I gave you at the beginning of this video that you can maybe figure something out or recycle something that you have there as well. Okay, again, I'm just going to use the sawing motion and saw through this. And again, the corners here are the hardest part because you're trying to go through the hot glue that you've already put down. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut across now. Okay, and then I'm going to cut my diagonal on this side, and then we'll go back and we'll tidy up the edges and strengthen it up just a little bit. Okay, all right, pop that off. I'm going to come in here with my Tim Holtz scissors and just snip those off. Okay, now we are going to cut. I'm just going to make sure all of my edges here are nice and tightly glued. This one looks like it can use just a smidge here on the top. Okay, and then we need to do something so that these edges aren't flimsy like this, because we want it all to be snug and tight and nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece from each one. Now you need to take one from each one so that you leave yourself with plenty of length for your support system. Okay, so we're going to take a piece that's, let's see, yeah, we're just going to take a piece that's one length across and about 1 inch in height. Okay, so it's, let's see, It's 1 3/4 by 1 1/8, and it doesn't have to be precise. It can be anything but just a strip of cardboard, because what you're going to do is you're going to place it right here and you're going to hot glue it together, and that's going to be your support on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just really glop on the hot glue here because I want nice sturdy support, and then I'm going to hold that down while it dries. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, just going to hold that down while it dries. Just takes a couple seconds. Okay, now this one is finished for right now, so we're going to set it aside and we're going to do this one now. We're just going to put the supports on. This one's pretty sturdy, but I'm going to go ahead and give it one anyway. So again, remember, take it from both pieces so that you don't leave yourself one support short. Oops. Okay. Hold that down till it's good and sturdy. And turn it around and do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Oop, my dog just found me. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so now we have our two pieces that are cut down and are in our shelf shape. Okay, this right here is going to hold your ribbon in, and then the bottom piece is just going to support everything. So now here's another thought. If you want one ribbon and one just to be just storage, you don't have to cut the angle on it. You can leave that one as just a half of a box, okay, and then decorate it accordingly. And maybe you want your ribbon on top and then you want your supplies on the bottom. You can do that too, no problem. So leave this one as just the half a box and then cut the other one out to look like this for your ribbon, okay? So now what do we need to do? Well, we need to put our side supports on so that, you know, we have our raised up portion, the top layer and the bottom layer. Okay, so first things first, you want to make sure your side supports are both the same height. So what I've done here is I've just stuck them together. Width doesn't matter, height matters because you want these to be level. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these out. I'm going to cut them down to make sure that they're the same height. Okay, and this one is. Now I'm going to take my bottom, whichever one you want for the bottom, doesn't matter, and I'm going to flush this up against the back, okay, so that it's level to the back here. You can see how it's flush right here, and then it's also flush on the bottom. You want it to be flush so that your top shelf stays level. If it's not flush, then your top shelf might not be level. Okay, and then I'm going to hot glue these together. So I'll probably just stick some hot glue on this bad boy here. And don't be shy with the hot glue, okay? This is what's supporting your supplies. So, you know, if you feel like you got to gush it on there, gush it on there. Okay, now you don't have a lot of time with hot glue, so, you know, just get it on there and get it straight and flush. Okay, and hold it down till it's snug and secure. Okay, that one's ready. Now we'll go ahead and we'll do the same thing on the other side. And by the way, if you wanted to, you can spray paint these in pieces and then assemble so that it's not, you know, you don't have to kind of spray around all of your pieces. And I made that mistake the first time and I just made it again on this one, but that's okay. So if you wanted to stop before you put your side supports on, if you're going to spray paint, and go ahead and spray paint everything or get all of your boxes decorated however you want, that's okay too. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and show you the assembly of the whole thing, and then on Thursday I'll come back with my spray painted box and we'll go ahead and decorate it from there. Okay, so now we have something that looks like this. Okay, we've got our two supports here and we've got our bottom box. Okay, now what we need to do is you need to decide how tall you want this to be. Okay, you know, I went where I had about that much of extra, okay, right here on the top. I didn't go all the way like this. You can, and I think I probably will on this one. Well, no, I better not. I better do the same. So you're going to leave yourself about a 1/4 of an inch, okay, on the top. Okay, so in order to make sure that this is level, what we're going to do is we're going to measure the height of this, okay, and we get 2 7/8, okay, which was what we cut at. So we're 2 7/8, and we're going to measure off 2 7/8 here, okay, and that'll put us, you know, if we wanted to go level with this, we would mark it here. But I don't want to go level. I want to be 1/4 of an inch above. So I'm going to mark it down here at 1/4 of an inch. Okay, and I know that's where I'm going to start my box. So that, let me show you here. Sorry. If I start my box at 1/4, I'm going to have a slight carryover here at the top, and that's what I want. Okay, can you see that there? This box is going to end right here, and then I still have this much here. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on this side so that we make sure that we get even. So we'll start off at 2 7/8. Mark that. Oops. And then I'll bring that up just 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so my bottom of the box is going to start right here, and all my glue is going to go right here. Okay. All right, so let's get started and put this piece together. Just want to make sure that you start one side at a time. So we'll go with this side right here. And I'm just going to measure that up. I'm going to put my hot glue down. Okay. And remember, you do have to work pretty quickly here because your hot glue will dry fairly quickly. Okay. You're going to make sure that you're flush along the back and you're on your line on the top. Okay. All right, so you want to be flush here and on your line here. Okay, so we've got one side together. Now we're going to do the same thing on this side. Make sure that we're level. I like to just make sure eyeballing it too. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue and stick. Okay, make sure that I'm on my line down here. And then I'm going to make sure that I'm flush on the back. And then I'm just going to hold that down until it's secure. Sorry, I was outside of the camera there for a second, but I think you guys get the gist. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim this up just a smidge because I got some hangover here. I want to cut that off, and then I still didn't get that there. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and spray paint this box. Okay, and this is the bones of your ribbon holder. So it wasn't too hard. All right, guys, I hope that you've been able to follow along. Don't forget that you can always rewind if there was something that you didn't get. We'll be back on Thursday with our spray painted box, or that's how I'm going to do it. Mine's going to be spray painted. You guys can, you know, prepare your box any way you want. If you want to do acrylic paint or paper or fabric, you know, whatever, it's up to you. But I will spray paint my box because it seems to be the simplest. So I will see you back here on Thursday for the next episode of this class. All right, bye-bye.